So gamers, let's talk about the death of Zappos CEO Tony Shea. So recently it came out that that Tony he ended up passing away to a fire in his house, which is labeled as an accident. But I have my mild concerns that it was not an accident for a few reasons. First, a lot of his friends came out and said, he was a big partier and had a crazy sporadic lifestyle. And that doesn't mean that he's gonna set his house on fire and kill himself. But that combined with the fact that a lot of his friends say he was always in had negative feelings and was always in a bad state of mind, kind of implies that he was using partying, drinking, drugs, and all that shit to cover up the issues that he had in his day to day life. And then those probably those probably also compounded the depression because you're hanging out with people having fun, and then the moment they leave, you go home and you're all sad and all that shit. And then that could mean that could lead to much worse things. So I don't know. I feel like there should be more. It should be looked into more that this could have been a potential suicide, or there's still a potential it could have been some wrongdoing by someone else, in which he is a massive CEO who parties a lot and deals a lot with drugs. There could have been someone that was looking out to get him, and this isn't these are just my random opinions on it. I'm just a random dude on the fucking internet. But the thing is, a lot of the time when you deal with drugs, you have to deal with people selling the drugs, and those people selling the drugs usually aren't very cash or money, They could, they could fucking, you hear all the bullshit about gangsters and the mafia and shit like that, of where they're gonna fucking burn down your house if you don't give them their money and shit like that. And, the thing is, you don't want to owe money to two types of people, the mafia or the government. And if it's a world where he was owed money to the mafia, he's running into some issues. And I feel like this could have been true, because from what I read, this is from a Wall Street Journal article, a lot of it sounded like he was doing drugs that aren't easily accessible to most people, and you would probably need to go through many loops to get them. And when you go through many loops, they end up being extremely expensive. And they're probably gonna, he was a CEO, so he made mad money. But there's still a chance that he could have gone in debt, or had some other miscommunication between that group. So I think there's still a chance that he could have been wrongdoing. And in terms of suicide, that's the guy with the big dick driving out there. You hear that? In terms of suicide, he was a lot of his friends said he was a really, really depressed man. He could never, completely put a smile on his face, and right before his death, all his friends said, he was in a really, really dark place. I think that could have been another cause for probably. I'm not saying he killed himself, but I think there's a chance that he may have done that. It could have also been, the partying itself. He could have been drinking, doing drugs, whatever the fuck he was doing, and he could have accidentally set something on fire, and then wasn't able to escape because he was inebriated in some sense, and then that may have caused it, which is an accidental suicide, or just a big fucking accident, which is possible. But nonetheless, I think that still stems from his destructive behaviors of drinking, drugs, and living this I believe it's called an extreme lifestyle, is what his friend said. And if it's fairly odd seeing this happen to such a big CEO, fucking Zappos, and he was an older gentleman. I believe he was in his 40s. He was in his 50s. I know he was over 40 years old, and you don't really see a lot of people partying. So I feel like there could have been a chance that his body just wasn't able to handle it. So there could have been a fire, and he could have been completely A-okay, not on anything. And then since he had done so many drugs, drinking, lived this intense lifestyle, his body might have not been able to act fast enough and get out of there. Drugs do fry your brain to some degree. It's sad to say, but it's true. And the fact that his brain could have been fried a little bit, and he didn't fully understand what's happening. Now, I want to talk about this in a bigger sense of CEOs that are living this crazy lifestyle. It's odd in all reality. Let's think about it. Name two more CEOs that live this crazy lifestyle. The Twitter CEO, he doesn't really live a crazy lifestyle, but he's kind of a hippie guy, has his nose pierced, and he's kind of looked down upon in terms of CEOs because if he lives his lifestyle. I assume Tony had a similar experience. But I find it really odd that we're having a shift towards more casual, normal CEOs, because in all honesty, I think CEOs should be these big, formal, scary guys, because you're running an entire fun company. You want them, you want them to be somewhat relatable too, but in reality, you want them to be good leaders, and good leaders are stern, stubborn, and they know how to get shit done. They dress nice, which shows that they care, and they do all these types of things. There's the corporate world is like that for a reason. It's not just, oh, the corporate world's like this because someone did it once and we all liked it. No, it's like that because it shows that you care, you're putting effort into your work, and it shows that you need to have these personality traits to be a CEO. Now, I don't think a shift away from this is a good thing. I don't think having partying CEOs is necessarily a good thing. Yeah, I think it was a good quote-unquote experiment turned into Zappos and shows that it's theoretically possible, but nonetheless, I think we should still focus on having the boring stand-up, CEOs. And this might push people away because it's like, well, there's gonna be less diversity in the workplace. That's not to say that diversity won't occur in the workplace. You need to have female CEOs. You need to have Black, Hispanic, Asian, all these types of CEOs. But they still, I think, follow in the same formula of being a boring, stand-up person that wears a suit every day and lives a very uniform life is good. We all hear about the $1 billion lifestyle where you wake up at like fucking 6 a.m., you fucking read the news for an hour, you work out, you take a shower, and all these things are done at like exact times. Like, you never stray away from this at all. And I think it's good that we have those kind of people in the leadership positions, because that means they don't have to worry about these external factors, so they can focus on their business. They have something really uniform, which shows that they know what they're doing. They can, allocate time correctly. And then third, it shows that they know how to manage stuff. They can manage their own time at their house. So that means they can manage the entire company. And seeing people like Tony, who, I'm not saying he didn't have a really uniform, schedule day to day, but I'm putting it on my mind he didn't. Thank you.